there are no rules. It's casual. It's I even challenge the folks like yourself to ask me hard questions and challenge me with questions if you so
Lovely.
desire. Actually, though, I better be careful in saying that I was on a panel, just came off of an HOA panel that I'm on every week,
Hmm.
and a very philosophical individual friend of mine, who I'm responsible for bringing a plus guest onto that HOA every week. I was
Okay.
invited in, and I'm part of the discussion, and then I've been assigned the task of going out to the marketplace and bringing somebody in. And I ask friends. I ask friends who I've interacted with. Maybe I'll get William Rock to come and rock
There
with
you
us
go.
on a
So
Friday morning.
that kind of sounds to me like a virtual breakfast club.
It's evolving. It's absolutely evolving, and I was not a part of the original creation, and it happens to be with a gentleman by the name of Dennis Deuce, and Dennis lives in Salt Lake, and uh, he's been on the G Plus circuit for a while.
Nice. Okay.
Very knowledgeable about things, and interestingly enough, he got laid off from his job just about wow, just about a month ago, a little over a month ago,
Thanks.
and within 24 hours, he was producing HOAs as
Hmm.
a as a, as his career, as his business.
Yeah,
So
kind of worked out for good for him out of the home
you
business
know,
to.
sometimes things happen in life, and they happen not sometimes. Everything happens for a reason. Sometimes
Yes.
it's a little difficult for us to understand the reason, discover the reason, define the reason, but it happens for a reason. And when we can find the answer to why did that happen, and was it for a good thing? Was I being
Hmm.
challenged? Then we can really start to sort things out in our life, and really move forward. But I brought on a
Absolutely.
very philosophical individual. His name is John Harris. I don't know if you've ever listened to John, but
I've
he
heard his name, but I haven't actually got a chance to read his stuff yet.
he brings some wonderful insights into a discussion, and uh, he, for whatever reason, the way things evolved, his statement was the opening statement and it was like a 7 or 8 minute trieste, if you will, and everybody went. I mean, you could see on the panel's faces, they were going, "Wow, wow."
You went on a rant, huh?
Well, it's that Rand is the wrong word. He's one of the most thought-provoking people that I've ever met.
Well, rant
And
is a good thing.
oh
Rant
no,
is.
no, that's a great thing. That's a great. Well, we step back, and the one thing that he had said in the HOA that I did with him, I don't know, 5 weeks ago, uh, made the statement. He was talking about goals,
Hmm.
and so often we set goals that aren't very good goals in our life, and we get singularly focused on that goal. And when we do, that usually turns out to be a negative thing, as opposed to the positive aspect of goal setting.
Correct.
And so it was. So he said something, and everybody went, "Wow! Now what do we say? That's a hard act to follow." That
Yeah.
kind of thing. But
I agree. Well, one of the things you and I were just talking about before we actually got live was the crazy part about not wanting to really get into, hey, follow my 15,000 followers or whatever and all that crazy stuff. And um, it kind of goes into some of the topics that I've got to talk about or wanted to kind of talk about the last time when I got on the show. Um, and really kind of goes to keeping the health of the business, more or less, keeping a better eye on things that you do on the internet, with your website, with your personal Facebook, with your personal Google Plus, or even your business Google Plus, Facebook. Things to think about for 2004, or sorry, 2014, and things to kind of ponder in the back of your head to say, okay, did some of these things happen to me? Simple questions like, did you lose any traffic this holiday? A lot of people are saying, well, I lost tons of traffic for the reason of the political powers that be, or the uh, maybe the financial difficulties everybody seems to be having, the economy doing what it's doing. But really, it's not just that. We all have the economy, we have all those different things, but a lot of people haven't really paid attention to their analytics. Especially during the holidays, I saw a lot of people that they were marketing, but they weren't really understanding what they were doing. And when I say that, they're not. They're,
I have to laugh because um, it's really funny that people are marketing, but they're not understanding what they're doing.
Correct.
It's such a wonderful statement, and I don't know if it's they're wondering what they're doing because they just don't know, or they're wondering what they're doing because it's so very, very challenging and they don't know how to do what it is that needs to be done. And
Absolutely.
I had a smile, William, about what you just said. In that, did you lose traffic? Well, I don't pay attention, right or wrong. I don't pay
Hmm.
attention, and I don't really
Well, you
have a
don't need
web.
to.
I
Yeah.
don't have a website. I have landing pages. So my objective is driving traffic to landing pages,
Hmm.
not driving traffic to a website.
Correct. Like
So,
paid advertising campaigns, Google AdWords, stuff like that.
well, it's not. I've never used Google AdWords. I have never. I don't know if it's. Well, should I look at Google AdWords in
I don't.
2014?
I would think just to learn it and understand it as a business owner, but for in your purpose, I don't think with what you're doing, that you're going to need to pay for any additional traffic because you've got plenty of traffic already going. Where I meant was, so for you, I wouldn't say, yeah, that's probably not going to be the avenue just right off the bat. Now, yes, you could probably expose to other elements and reach out to other possible prospects for maybe getting on the show, or maybe, some type of sponsorship idea, bring them to a landing page, talk about who you are, show them who you are, and what your goals are, as being a featured speaker or here and here for these type of industries. But for example, the holiday season, we saw tons of things moving. It was one of the biggest years on the internet for web sales, and we're going to see that increase every year because we got digital devices. Last time we were on the show, we talked about the Nexus 5 and the new technologies that are we're all geeking out on this year in 2014.
Except me, I'm not geeking out on it.
Well, I'll just have to come over to you and show you how this stuff works. But
I
let's go ahead.
funny. I have by design. I have a dumb phone, and it's absolutely by design. I'm wired all day long. I've got computers going all day long, and when I leave my house, I do not want to be connected. I
Hmm.
just don't want to be connected. So, and I've had an iPhone 4, I've had an iPhone 4S, I've had an iPhone 5, and I never used any one of them to their what they were really intended to be used for. I was using them as telephones, and I
Yeah,
was using them to text messages. That's all that I really was using. So why have one and pay the expense of operating that phone?
very
That,
true.
and it was
Me?
me. It was just me
Yeah.
looking at myself and my lifestyle.
Yeah. And see, I think I'm more fast. I'm more into the technology, so this thing's always with me. The Nexus 5, I mean, I don't want to brag about it, but it is the Google phone. It gets the updates right away when Google releases things. And for me, being the technologist that I love to be, I geek out on new updates. I want to see how something changed. Exactly. That right there, the Chromebook, it's perfect. It
And
is absolutely
I can
perfect.
plug a headset in it and dial. So I don't need a telephone.
It's so
Yeah.
cool.
This is my
Quality.
smartphone. It's a little
There you
bigger.
go. A little bigger. I don't know if you can have that on your hip. Just imagine the size of the belt clip you're going to need for that one.
Oh my goodness.
So
Although
yeah,
it is very light. It's very light.
yeah, I like it, and the price is light too.
It's amazing. And let's talk about that for a moment. Um, I It's surprising it took me as long as it took to get the Chromebook with as much Google. I mean, I'm only inside of Google technology. I don't visit other
Yeah,
technologies for the most part. I can accomplish what I want to accomplish. So why do I need to go anywhere else? And
good
so
point.
uh,
Very
I
good
have
point.
I have two sons that one's 26, one's 25. They're going to increase their age in a month here, each of them. But they were born into the computer world. I mean, I
Mhm.
got them their first computer when they were probably 10 years old. So for more than half their life, that's what they've been doing.
Well,
And
fantastic. See, that's what I wish more parents would do is get the kids involved in the computers because you see a lot of people that are not doing it right now, and those kids are not going to really have. It's a technology world
wait,
in the
wait,
future.
wait, 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 wait. There are folks out there right now that are not getting their children into computers, or they're
Oh, I
waiting.
watch it all the time. It's because the parents don't understand computers either, so they're afraid to even bring that in, or they're afraid to learn it, or even show their child that they don't know how to use the computer. I think they need to get
Wow.
rid of that fear. But there's still a lot of people out there, and it's amazing because I do talk to a lot of companies, and I'm working with their sales team, working with their staff and their employees and everybody. And so you see a whole lot of different people with technology levels of where we geek out and we talk about search engine algorithms and patterns and whatever we want. But then you go back to the other spectrum, and some of these people weren't privileged either with computers. I got lucky with my dad. I actually had one of the first Apple computers, and so with that, I was kind of lucky where I was learning my ABCs and stuff.
I'm gonna go grab something off a shelf. You talk while I'm gone, but
Yeah,
I
no,
want to
it's
show you
fun.
something. I want to show you something that my son did on a computer when he was 10 years old.
Go for it, grab it. No, I think it's very important for kids, though. I mean, to have the technology. My son's 14 years old now. My daughter's almost 13, and it's all about technology in this house.
Okay, here we go.
So, what do you
My
got there?
my son was 10 years old, and he did this on the first computer I bought him.
That's cool.
That's a caricature of his daddy. If you
I
why
like
the
it. That's the
that,
one that's
that
on your website, isn't it?
no.
Okay, I noticed
No,
you had a character on your website.
I do have good observation. I do have a caricature, but it's that one was done about 3 years ago by somebody else. But
Hmm.
this is what he did, and that took him. And I'm going to segue into an interesting concept here. That took him into realizing that he had an art skill in his life, and he actually got real serious with drawing caricatures and was getting paid as a young kid, a young child, to
Hmm.
draw caricatures at an amusement park. So high volume kind of thing. Well, anyway, um, where was I going with that? I
Well,
I
you're
had
talking
a
about technology and computers. It's like my dad. He did the same thing for me. So I think it was important. It's cool to see people like yourself that had brought their kids into technology, even though it's just technology's kind of just happened in the 80s and 90s and now. But until now, really technology's really picked up. But like even Google. I mean, Google was such a baby.
it's
It
only
was
15 years old, not less than 15 years old now.
Yeah, it's only a teen. It's not. It's a teenager, and so people expect so much now out of technology. But if you go back to even when your son did that drawing on the computer, that was difficult stuff for us to do on technology, and we had to figure out how to do it. And so with that, you kind of have a respect of okay, yeah, I've got the new Nexus 5, I've had the iPhone, or I've had these other ones. but it goes back to these kids don't really understand what technology was before. I mean, you go back to was it that one video War Games? Remember War Games from way back in the '80s, I think it was, with a kid that a little hacker kid that was basically trying to do something on his computer, and he found out that he got into the government site to launch a missile. It was just a game, but it was a computer, and so it was just like, but that computer took up a whole building, and so.
I know where I wanted to go with that, William. When you said parents and computers, I just shared a story about 3 or 4 weeks ago that I think it made me think about what you just said. That one of the most important things that we can do with students in school is to encourage them to learn how to write code. And it was a story in the Washington Post, and I just shared that story about three weeks ago.
Yeah. Well, the other cool thing that people are doing with kids is, I don't know if you've heard of a little game called Minecraft, but Minecraft is made for these kids, and as they get better at this game, it's just blocks. It's just building blocks and everything else. You create a little world, but it's gained so much popularity with these kids that they get addicted to this on their iPad or their computer or on the Xbox or PlayStation, whatever. But they're addicted to this game. But now, when they get older, like my son, he just got finished building his own Minecraft server. Whereas half of the technologists here in Kansas City, there's not even one. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of little geeks, like myself, that have run servers and stuff like that. But my next level for him is I've got my own servers in a data center down in the city. And so I'm going to actually virtualize off his own server that he can actually program Minecraft video games, an actual world on this server. And he's sponsored by Mafia Pizzeria down here in Overland Park to actually build this as a club for the pizza restaurant. So,
isn't that interesting? Well, you do live in the home of small business entrepreneurship in Kansas City.
There's a lot of stuff happening here.
Well, you and I have discussed this. The Kauffman Foundation, which is the entrepreneurship foundation, is located in Kansas City. Before I knew you, I visited Kansas City on 3 different occasions, and they were all kind of affiliated with. Not kind of. It was the Kauffman Foundation that brought me there. Not paid for me, but they were sponsoring an event, and I got involved in it and came to Kansas City. I will say, and this is where I was going with that Kansas City is one of the finest, if not the finest, small business cities I have ever visited. There was a vibrancy in Kansas City. Like I felt it. I actually felt this vibrancy while I was there, and you can't say that about many communities.
Yeah. Well, see, that was kind of the odd part. When I went from California in 2005 to Kansas City, I was working for a credit card processor. I got a job to come out and interview with a friend of mine that owned a credit card processing company. And at the time, I was looking at I wasn't really looking at leaving California. And so I ended up, he got a plane ticket for me, and I stayed out there at his house. And when I first got here, I noticed the same thing, and it felt comfortable. It wasn't like I flew to some of these other cities and I'm like, oh, I'm a little uncomfortable walking down the street. Everybody was so friendly to me. Everybody was, wanting to help. Who are you? Where'd you come from? And it's been a really cool, I don't know how many. So it's 2005 to now that we've been in Kansas City. We've moved from Missouri down to Kansas. So long story, but yeah, that was a lot of fun. Interesting trip, but moving halfway across the United States with 2 children that were babies, and now they're growing up, but still they were babies when we moved, and so.
What?
Now their school is fantastic, so love that.
What's getting off to another idea that I wanted to ask you about today?
Yeah.
What is happening with websites in 2014? Conceptually, structurally, what are you sharing? What expertise are you sharing with folks about websites?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we're going to see is usability. Visitor experience is going to be the pure key. I think if your visitor is not experiencing or they're not having a good experience, meaning wise they're not finding the content, video, they're lost on your website, or basically you just didn't present well. So I think that's going to be key is the visitor experience and intent. What did they do? Did they engage? Did they not engage? Did they actually get from one location to ordering a product that they intended to get to, or was it just a flyby opportunity that they might not buy from you again? But so it goes back to that analytics thing. If you don't know your analytics and what's driving the traffic, what's driving the business, then you're running a little bit blind. But with the technology side of things, I'm going to say probably responsive design is going to be the biggest mover and shaker. HTML5, Cascading Style Sheets 3, just allowing it to be clean code, fast loading. And when I say fast loading, that's part of the algorithm. People, they want to have all these fancy graphics and take up the whole screen, make it look pretty, which is good. You can still do that, but then you also have to figure out how to optimize those images to be smaller so they take less time to load. Simple things like your JavaScript, like those little picture banners that go across the screen on the top. They have little things go by with little commercial pieces. That JavaScript is taking up a lot of the load. So when that piece is coming up, maybe your other images are loading slow. But yeah, I would definitely focus on the user experience and also the responsive design, and make sure that I think the best thing to do is really go up to Google Webmaster Tools. If you just type in Google Webmaster Tools videos, there's a ton of videos that if you're new to building your own business as a new business owner or somebody that's already established, I still say go to check that out, because there's a lot of things that Google has been really they're good at updating what to do and what not to do. An example would be the responsive design thing that I just mentioned. Matt Cutts talks about that in pretty good detail on what that means, what it can do, and what it doesn't do. And so yeah, big thing for 2014, check out Google Webmaster Tools videos. Listen to what they have to say. There's a lot of criticism in the forums and all these other places across the web that you could easily get confused with. But this year is going to be it's going to be a changing mentality for business owners, or it has to be a changed mentality for the business owners to get away from what they're used to and what they're not comfortable with, and moving into a comfort zone that they have somebody that knows how to actually walk through those waters first. Does it make sense?
Mm-hmm. Makes a lot of
So,
sense. And you and I might we're not going to do it right now, but you and I might have a great debate, and maybe it's not a debate at all. I do not think that folks ought to be overly concerned about what a traditional website might be.
mhm.
I think the focus needs to be on a highly optimized landing page. And I'm all into, because let's not
Right.
kid ourselves, a home page to a website is a landing page. We
Yeah.
want folks to land on our page that has a specific either domain name or URL.
Mhm.
Sometimes they're the same, and people, and I've seen this because I had my first website probably, I'm going to say about 10 years ago. So I'm not all that
Mhm.
all
Well,
that new.
you've had some experience with it.
Well, well, I've had a lot of experience with it. I got a, unfortunately, I got a lot of bad advice in 10 years ago, 12 years ago, in terms of building my own business from a technology perspective.
Mhm.
I put my faith and trust in the wrong people,
Well,
and
see, when David, you bring up a good point there, and that's also happening. People, there's a lot of things that happened all the way back, and I remember a business I used to work for back in California, and we were working on a lot of paid advertising, and we dominated the market pretty heavily. One of the things that started to become a popular thing of for website owners that had the money is to purchase backlinks and buy advertising locations all over. CNN did it, Discovery, Disney for a while. I mean, everybody was selling links for the longest time. So it might cost me $5 to get 10 links or something. And if I really wanted a good one, it cost me a couple $100 or $1,000. But I had the link, and that was the game. Google's game was they couldn't identify that it was a purchased link. They thought it's a vote. So basically, what happened was the first stage started happening. It got to be a very popular trend. Everybody was blasting out saying, "Hey, I've got all these thousands and thousands of followers, and this and that, and you need to follow my way to do it because this is how it's done. Let me show you the proof that I'm making all this money." But the whole time this was happening, Google was freaking out, didn't know what to do. So they were going to they had to do something, and they didn't know how to fix the system's algorithm, correctly. So then lately we hear all these different updates. Before, even in 2000, there's about 500 updates a year, typically notified by Google, and they kind of put that out in their press. But it wasn't a big deal until 2 years ago, when even when caffeine, one of the algorithm updates they had, caffeine, it started to actually help us better understand that semantic web that we're talking about now with David and all the other guys, semantic search. But we never had that before, and so it was an algorithm that was always somebody was always trying to defeat it and not actually do what Google's basically come out and blatantly said, this is how you have to do it. But as far as doing it clean, making sure you're not spamming, you're not doing this and that. So they've told us on Google Webmaster videos, don't do this, don't do that, don't buy links, don't do comment spam. But what happens is all those companies that were older than maybe the last couple months don't have that link profile that this new company may have. So I think the signal is going to be a little bit wonky for a little bit until they get that portion figured out, because I think that a new site, say for example you had one attorney and here's this new attorney in the same location, if that new person starts to go out and start to do everything we've talked about, Hangouts on air, Google Video, become a good author, do these things that Google's talking about doing, and then having a good visitor experience with that client that came onto their website, all of these things lead up to the mistakes. And I was kind of going, it was a little long rant there, but the reason why I mentioned that is because you said, oh, I got some bad advice in the past. When I speak with a lot of different CEOs, that's the same thing that I hear all the time. They didn't know. They didn't know that they actually trusted the wrong person, but what'd you do? You thought, this guy's the expert. I'm not an expert in it, so I'm going to hire the expert to do that.
There's
But
even something more basic, I think, than what you're talking about, and this is what I have found over the years. There's what 14,246,748 folks that can design a website.
yes.
Design a website. Design a website. I put
Well,
excuse me. I want to put emphasis on design a website. They never truly pay enough attention to what is the strategy of the business.
they just know
What
how to do
is
a web page.
They know how to do a web page, and you know what? A lot of kids know how to do a web page.
Yes.
It's one of those things that the young folks they want to teach themselves how to do that. I mean, because they know it's something they do it for themselves. They know that the world runs on web pages, so why not learn how to create one?
Well, the hard
Uh,
part is, but you also, we get a website design company, and then they go, oh, we know how to do SEO too, or we know how to do all this other stuff, but they still never get into your business.
that
Yeah,
was that was
they,
no, they don't know, but that was my no, they don't know sound.
yeah, you're good. No, I think because really it comes down to they need a team of people that they don't necessarily have, but they also have their sales marketing, their marketing department, their sales department. Even if it's small and it's only a small mom and pop, you still have your main people that know the company, and they're going to be more passionate about your company. So if you can find those in-house people to be able to train and build up these things, it's good. But at the same time, is they also have to not know how to. I mean, they need to know about what happened in the past with the algorithm and how Google has evolved. And I'm not just talking. I talk a lot about Google because if you can do anything on Google, and they're looking for the highest quality, relevant result for that visitor. Google, Bing is okay. It's getting better. Yahoo's on Bing's platform, so I'm only going to end up going over to Bing or Google. And recently, a couple of times, my browser lately, I installed some software, and it took me over to Bing's browser, and I'm like, well, that's not what I want. So I had to reset all my stuff, but that's an annoyance. Don't like that, but where'd that come from? I don't know. But
Came from the manufacturer who's moving you over, and without your knowledge that it's actually you didn't want it,
I didn't
but
want it.
they
Yeah.
they're trying to sell you something. I
Yeah.
this you bring up a good point, which was an extremely frustrating point for me, and that's browser technology. It is so frustrating because we do things and we think we're doing the right things, but all the other crap comes along with it.
Well,
And
that's where responsive design, I think the responsive design architecture is going to fix a lot of that because let's just go back. Like on Tuesday, we talked about the Chromecast, the Google Chromecast, right? Which is basically a little HTML port or HDMI port that goes in the back of the TV. Now, if you look at all the devices that we have, you can't make a website for one thing. And what we used to do back in the day was, it was a standard of 800 pixels wide is what you made it for because nobody really had. They had 16-inch or 17-inch monitors. They didn't have these massive big screens on their desk like we do these days. But with that, we lost my thought. Sorry.
no, we were talking about
Oh, the
size of screen.
HDMI.
I think where
Yeah,
you were going with
the
this thing.
browsers. The browsers. With the HDMI stuff, because I didn't want to get too far up into that one, because we talked about the HDMI stuff in the last show. But you've got all these different devices. You've got the Mac, you've got the HP, so you got, I don't know, that's probably a 20 something, and then I've got another one that's in there. So these monitors, all are different sizes. My phone's different shape than the iPhone. Um, and so with responsive, it just automatically shrinks. You don't have to have the website and then the mobile website. It does the same thing as long as you're it doesn't have to. It'll even work in the older browsers, from what I'm sure about. But I mean, it goes back to maybe Internet Explorer 8, so not way back. But when I go way back, that was like the last update. So yeah.
Speaking about updates, and we'll wrap up this session, and we'll come back because
We're
you know
gonna,
I
what I love being on your show. So let's do this again. I think
let's and we can be spontaneous about it. I mean, it's a matter of creating the content and getting and marketing the content. So
well, we can
you're into
also
that,
find
I'm
out.
into that. I'm
Yeah, we
sorry.
can also find out what our audience says too. So if they want to hear me be on the show again, then let us know in the comments.
Wow, yeah. Here's well, I said it. I don't know if we were on air when I said it the first time, William. That uh, or I said it the last stage. I don't know where I said it because it's one of my themes right now that um, 2013 was the year of discovery. It was the first full year of HOAs, thousands upon thousands of HOAs done.
Hmm.
People were finding out and discovering what a powerful tool HOAs are for marketing and sales. I've never seen anything better in the 40 years I've been doing this stuff.
It's pretty
40,
cool.
40 plus years. Okay, so it's out there. We all played with it. With me, and I think I probably said this on Tuesday, it was an absolute no-brainer, and I didn't worry about how to use the technology because we know it's constantly changing,
Yeah.
and so I didn't worry about that initially. I just went in and did it because it was a more efficient way for me to do things that I was already doing. I was
Hmm.
already doing YouTubes, and we know that an HOA, when I hit the stop broadcast button, it automatically goes to YouTube. Then
Hmm.
I haven't created. I've created something in Google, so I get the value of it being in my Google stream. Send it to YouTube, get the value of it going to my YouTube video library, which now has
Absolutely.
over, it's approaching 700 videos in it.
I saw
Um,
that. That was incredible. I'm like, oh my gosh, you have been one busy man
well,
who,
it was a way for me to do what I wanted to do. I don't blog. I don't write blogs. I
yeah.
do videos. Now, that is not a formula for everybody, for sure, but it is a formula for me, number one. Number two, we know how important how much importance Google is putting on videos. They didn't buy YouTube for $6.2 billion just to say, hey, this is pretty cool stuff. They
Yeah.
had a strategy in mind,
Well,
and
I think we're
again,
going to see Google Plus is going to be. I mean, the future is huge, and I really, really hope that business owners can actually understand that this is not just a time suck. Yeah, it's going to require certain employees to participate and join in on the conversation and be part of that brand. But like you said, it's different for everybody. You do it a little bit different than like maybe I would use it in a violin store. In a violin store, okay, now we're doing different things. We're actually showing hangout where we're actually showing off different products, or and then having the community engage. So there's a lot of neat stuff happening with Google Plus, and it's always going to get better. I think the hard part we had on Tuesday was just like you said. We didn't know the new changes that they threw upon us for the new year, and I think we were having lots of different weird issues, not just on Google Hangout on Tuesday. I think there was other issues that they had with, I think, the review section on Google Plus and something else I saw. They didn't talk about it.
I don't get bogged down in that stuff, William. I just kind of do what I got to do, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I don't right or wrong. Um, I don't take the time to do all the things that you're supposed to do. I
Yeah.
take the time to do the things that I know work for me, and if they stop working for me, then I'm going to have to figure out a different way to a
Yeah.
different way to do things. That's
Well,
that's a, you said about violin and G plus. Last night we did an HOA with a metal mute. What's a metal guy? Metal
is it
music.
okay? The heavy metals, yeah.
Heavy. We did it. We did heavy metal guitar guy. We did an HOA with him. He's from England.
Nice.
He was in England, and he had another guy. He had a social media strategist in another part of England, and we did an HOA with these two guys. The music star, is coming to Los Angeles in a couple weeks to do his
Wow.
heavy metal thing in Los Angeles. But the reason I'm telling you this story, he has a good handle on Facebook.
Okay. I'll
He
have to
has
check
a
it
good
out.
he has a good handle on what he's doing. I don't know,
See,
on
it's cool.
Twitter. On Twitter, he doesn't have a great handle on Google Plus, and so he found his way to us, and so we're going to uh, you know
Oh, from that
mainly
was
from
all.
mainly
Yeah.
from a video aspect. And we did an HOA with him last night. He is doing his own HOA. We're not going to have any visibility on
Mhm.
his own HOAs Sunday night. We're going to be in the background creating that HOA with him with the bells and the whistles
Well,
that
when you do that, I encourage you to take some pictures of your green, basically of setting up. Just like so. The reason why I say that is because well, you're not really a blogger, but for stuff like that where people can see, it's not. It is a little bit of work to set up, but I think that it's easy to learn. You know, like
Well,
you don't
yeah,
know
yes
how.
and no. The basic Hangout technology is extremely, it's easy. People, there's a lot of twist to it, and if you're really concerned about a lot of things, but
But what's cool is you're helping these guys out, though, right? You're basically helping them set up their
well,
basically the whole thing.
they're buying our expertise
Well, yeah, of
in,
course.
in setting up, but we're taking, it's a beautiful application for what we're doing because it takes these guys to the next level, and the timing is right because they don't have a working knowledge of Google Plus. So
Yeah,
as we're creating these videos for them,
they have that.
which once again, it's not just what you and I are doing. There's a lot of bells and you've seen one of the ones that I've been developing with Michael Mason.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
very, very professional. I mean,
different.
it's
Well,
very different interview style. So,
the interview style isn't that different, but it's the visual. It's the visual
mhm.
that is really really different, and it's just we're trying to stay a step ahead of everybody because that's the way the world is moving.
Absolutely.
They're going to
Well,
want an HOA that's different looking.
I see you being. I think one of the things I would look to do is if I was to hire a company to do something like that. I would definitely encourage you to working with the sales guys because I think the sales guys need to create their own image. What happens is, and it depends on the industry, and I'm going to go to like, let's just say a data center, okay? Big data center, you're selling Microsoft, Cisco, Barracuda, the big toys, right? So these are like not chump change. You're spending in a data center anywhere from a few $1,000s to hundreds to millions of dollars per month, okay? So when you're talking about that kind of stuff, the sales guys have to be really, really educated on being able to talk to the technicians, figure out a plan. Especially if they're going to be revamping their entire architecture in their company with their, servers and machines and printers and everything else. So when you look at like a managed service type sales environment, and this could be for anything, but if you were to take each one of those sales guys and learn what do they sell, what are their cores? What do they primarily focus on? And then give them the tools for with Hangouts to actually work with their clients, right? One-on-one. We're talking about one-on-one Hangouts being going to be like the biggest thing, I think, in 2014, 2015. And where I'm saying that is now you've got a sales guy that's engaged. Say, we're having a conversation right now, but say you were actually on the line with me and I was your sales guy trying to actually sell you a product that you've already wanted to set up a meeting with me, but because we're in different states, I'm not going to be able to meet you unless I pick up an air flight and a hotel and a rental car and all that stuff. Well, that's a huge expense. But now you have the capability to have 1 to 10, 15 people in a hangout. It's phenomenal.
Did you
So
just use as an example cars? Is that what you said? Cars?
no, a data center is basically
No, no,
for.
no, 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 no. I thought I heard you say cars,
Oh,
selling
well, no,
cars.
they're dry because you got your gas. I mean, when you have to actually go out from a
Oh, oh,
meeting
oh,
for
oh, that's
something,
what you're saying.
yeah, and then like for example, if they want to go see the, get a quick little tour, just walk them through with your laptop. You know.
Did you see what you saw? That you see? Have you seen what Toyota is doing with Hangouts on Air?
Yes, and that's kind of where I'm headed with this. They've changed things that, I mean,
Well, that
the ideas.
what they're doing, and I had an opportunity to go to a HOA where the creative folks that developed that technology for Toyota were presenting. It was a very fascinating that you invite your friends into a hangout. You
Mhm.
design what you want your car to look like based upon discussions with your friends. Then at the end of the session, you can invite a salesperson into who's from your area who that well obviously it's pretty easy to figure out where you are and
Yeah.
designing it. Then at the back end you can bring a salesperson in and you can close the deal. I suppose electronic signatures aren't good anymore for buying a car, but you go in and you bring that salesperson in and ask them questions that you
Yeah.
have about your car. So tomorrow it's done. You've done all the work. You go in and you sign the papers and and buy
And
your
that's
car.
exactly what I'm thinking with, and see, that's the technology that's next. I think that the violin shop. I've thrown those ideas over to Anton. In fact, I got to get Anton Kreutz on your show. I think you'd love to talk with him. You guys would probably just hit it off. The one of the best entrepreneurs I know. The guy's just a genius when it comes to business.
Let's
And
make that connection happen.
yeah, I mean, not only in instruments, but he's just very well, just well set on his. Not his brain is just thinks so fast. It's amazing. But he's just got so many good visions and ideas that he's already put to play, and runs a very successful violin shop. Two of them, three of them. So he's just expanded again.
Well,
So
we did guitars last night. Might as well get into violin shops, and drums are next, and clarinets and saxophones. There's a lot of
yeah, I
instruments.
know.
Maybe we'll become a real musical kind of area for you to mark. Well, you know what? It's not really a bad idea because we've got a client in the music world, and
Mhm.
based upon the success that we'll see with that client, maybe music is a great category for us to a great vertical
Well, I think
for.
the cool thing is that you have every business because I mean the entrepreneur dream is anything. What we dream about. It's something that is different for everybody. So the
Dreaming
niche.
with entrepreneurs. What a clever use of words. Thank you.
Go for it. Use it. Copyright it.
Uh,
Hashtag it.
no. Actually, there is. I paid $3,000 for a service mark. Dreaming with Entrepreneurs actually has a service mark, and I did it 7 years ago, or I don't know, it was close to 7 years ago, because uh, my original intent was to produce a reality television show called Dreaming with Entrepreneurs. I actually did produce a television show that went to live streaming on a website, that went to um, uh, evolved next to YouTube's, that is evolved now into HOAs. So the show, my brand has been around for 7 years now, and just
That's fantastic.
whatever's the best way to distribute content and distribute information. With
Wonderful.
that,
Wonderful. Thank you for that.
we will conclude this session because I have to move on and get ready for the next session. I got this hangout thing going all day long today, William. I don't know,
Well,
it's
thanks
going to
for
wear me
having me
out.
on. I mean, I really appreciate being on the show, and like I said, let's try to do this again. And
We will not try. We will. I'll tell you. Well, you feed me ideas,
okay,
but the one idea that I really want to pursue, is what we were talking about yesterday, and how your family engages different aspects of entrepreneurship as a family. And you might be able, well, you know what? You are going to help me because of your family. You are going to help me launch an idea that I've been playing around with for a couple years,
okay.
and it's a family entrepreneurship concept. Great.
That is,
Have a wonderful weekend,
you do
and
the same.
we'll hook up soon.
All right, bud. Thank you so much. Thank you,
Thank you, Wayne.
everybody.